boatload of old jazz records in, and I got an early crack at them, and nearly went broke in the process. Um, there's, I think there's going to be too much ado in one video, so I'll get through what I can, and it's probably be a two-parter. I hate to blow through these really fast, but I do want to show everything because it's pretty happy with what I got. You don't see this stuff come up too often in these original releases. For instance, there we go. Kenny Burrell's Midnight Blue on Blue Note. It's got the Dead Wax with Van Gelder in the Dead Wax. This is mono. Most of these are going to be mono, which, for mono releases, they sound amazing. I prefer stereo releases on my jazz records, but, when the music's this good and they sound this good, it really doesn't matter. So, that's a highlight. This is just Dylan Thomas reading some of his poems. I haven't even listened to this yet, but nothing to do with anything, but interesting tidbit there. The Witch Doctor, Art Blakey. I've listened to most of these records, but I've been speed listening, so I can't say too much about the music inside. I've liked almost everything that I've heard. I like some stuff more than others. This, I know, it's got Lee Morgan and Wayne Shorter on it, as well as Bobby Timmons on piano, Jimmy Merritt on bass. Again, everything was good. Once again, we're on Blue Note, I believe. Once again, this one was a stereo release, which was a little bit unusual for this batch. We'll see a couple, I think. This I loved. Kenny Burrell, guitar forms. This is arrangements by Gil Evans. Simply just a wonderful, wonderful record. Totally different style. This is on Verve. Totally different style than Almost Blue. A lot of different styles on here. But I love Gil Evans and loving Kenny Burrell more and more. This really is. Can't say enough about this. Highly, highly recommended. Again, a mono release. Mingus, Blues and Roots. This is on Atlantic. Again, mono. And, again, I don't know, I haven't verified the provenance of every single one of these records. They're all, that's a 60s label. Is it the first pressing? I believe so, but it's a little sort of glossy, too. But I can't say positively on all this stuff, but I think they're at least early releases, if not first pressings on all this stuff. Another guy I'm liking more and more, the more I hear, is Andrew Hill. This is Judgment on Blue Note. This is, again, a mono release. Let's see who this. He wrote his name, Russ Korn, on every single record. Fine. But, this guy's Elvin Jones is on here. Amazing. As always. Richard Davis on bass. Of course, the guy who played bass on Astral Weeks, which is a top 5 record for me, so that's always exciting to see. And this guy is pretty, he pushed the boundaries. So I really like that kind of, not totally free jazz, but yet experimental jazz. The Eric Dolphy, the Andrew Hill, who's the other guy? Gretchen Moncur? I'm not sure exactly how to say his name. There's been a few people that I really like their boundary pushing jazz from the mid '60s. This is a separate thing that I got. I can't remember if I mentioned this on an earlier thing. I don't think. In fact, Gretchen Moncor III is on here. This is Jackie McLean's Destination Out. Another somewhat experimental release. This is a beautiful one from, it was originally on Blue Note, but this is the, what do you call it? I wish I could remember. Is it, oh, I'm going to forget. Is it Analog Productions? It's the 45 RPM release. Whoever went through and did all those, I can't remember right now. I should, but I can't. I bought it off their website, and not only a wonderful record, but they did a wonderful job on the mastering. It sounds amazing. So that wasn't in that batch, but I was listening to it, just thrown in the middle, so there it is. Oh, another sidebar here, but this is this is customer awareness time. Picked up Elliott Smith's Figure 8, a great record. I sort of consider this his white album. I'm not a huge Elliott Smith fan, but this really caught me at the time it came out. Probably early 2000s, mid 2000s. No, it's just 2008. Thought it was earlier than that, but let's say 2008. Okay, fine. A great album. My long story short on this, I bought this a couple years ago, the vinyl release, and put it on, and it immediately sounded horrible, like distorted, thin, like there was something wrong with it. I started flipping through each side, and it was the same thing on every side. I thought maybe there was a problem with the pressing. So I ended up sending it back, and I was down in Florida like a year later. I saw it there. I said, well, if you don't mind, I'd like to check this out before I buy it because I'm out of town, and I had a bad experience with this record. I just wanted to hear. And they had kind of a old sort of, lo-fi turntable set up there in the store, but put it on. I could hear it. I could hear the problem even there. And I tried to explain that the guys couldn't hear it at the store. I was telling them, I said, this record does not sound like this. And I think I even pulled it up on my phone. I said, listen to how much smoother this sounds on the phone than on this record. They didn't hear it, but they agreed, they made a deal, I'm not buying it if it sounds like that. And so I refused to buy it. But, and I'm sure they put it out, restocked it on the shelves as new, fine. So then it came out, I heard it was being reissued, and I was very excited. I'm like, oh, finally, they're going to get this right. Geffen and UM, I want to mention the Universal Music, I want to mention the culprits here, because this is egregious. This came out again, I bought it from my local record store, and it's the same thing. It's the same mastering, the same sound, the same horrible sound. It's literally the worst pressing I've heard from a modern pressing. The worst. I've heard, I've had problems with new vinyl occasionally. I've had problems with a couple bootlegs that weren't up to quality control. That's not what this is. This is something in the mastering itself that I don't know, someone kicked out a plug or something. Something is completely wrong, and don't buy this. Whatever you do, don't buy it. I should send it back to UM just like with a paper bag full of dog crap lit on fire and put it on their doorstep. It really is egregious. It's the worst thing I've ever heard. And a great album that doesn't deserve it. Back to the Jazz Hall. How about this? This is volume 2 of the amazing Bud Pal. I have volume 1 already, which when it's got Poco Loco on it, the different takes of that. And this one starts out with Autumn in New York. I've raved about Bud Pal before. I will continue to rave about Bud Pal. This is freaking amazing. I love him. He speaks directly to my soul. As corny as that sounds, I don't know if it's going to speak to you in the same way, but I totally get what this guy was doing on some gut level. I don't know what it is. But this Volume 1 and Volume 2, in my opinion, absolutely essential. Speaking of Gil Evans, I found this out of the cool on Impulse. How about this? He shows you even the lineup of how things were arranged. That's the kind of stuff that audiophiles simply love, because you can really get to picture things. I've only listened to this once. I look forward to listening again. Again, it's mono, but I love what I heard. I really like Gil Evans, and that one's terrific. This, I don't know what happened. I thought I had this. I probably had the CD and didn't realize I never had the vinyl. I was looking through my collection because I saw it, and I said, well, I'm not going to get this because, I've already got it. I have to see what pressing I have. Well, I went back and I don't have it. So this is again mono. It's 2i Columbia mono, which is almost certainly a first pressing. This has been 1967. And needless to say, this is great. And sounds great. Ditto. A little tape here on the top, which is unfortunate, but, it's a 6i mono. I've got a 2i stereo on this, I think. But this is the 6i mono. This is the, again, almost certainly the first pressing. What can you say? It's another classic from Miles. Everything from Miles is nearly essential. Porgy and Bess, absolutely. Look at this stuff. This is just great. This is Go, Dexter Gordon. You got the original. That's just great stuff. Local store cleans all the records, so they put them in these nice sleeves too. This is really, I believe, is this stereo? I can't remember. No, this one's mono too. But this is, I never heard it. I don't really know much about Dexter Gordon. Haven't fallen in love with other stuff that I've heard. I liked it, it's fine, but I never really was blown away. This sounded pretty darn good, though, and it is very highly rated, so I look forward to spending more time with this. Another classic record. I have not spun this yet, so we'll see, but another 6i mono. Ellington at Newport. I had this on CD. So I'm familiar with it. It's great stuff. I guess it'd be it's later, obviously, because this is late 50s, probably 1956. This was recorded at Newport. But classic Ellington band and sound. So if you have to have some Duke Ellington, I think, if you want to call yourself a jazz fan. And it's harder, I think, to appreciate some of this stuff today because it seems so far removed. But when you really get into the kind of sophistication and delicacy of the arrangements, you can really get to appreciate why people loved Duke Ellington. So I plan to spend more time more time with this too. More Mingus. I'm showing you the labels literally just to show off at this point. This is ridiculous, right? All the stuff that I got. Oh, well, this one was in there too. What can you say? This is the new. Well, I should probably talk about this to wrap this up. Obviously, the new Sgt. Pepper, remixed by Giles Martin, George's son. It's a completely new stereo mix, and it is wildly different. Beautiful packaging, by the way. Absolutely. I won't go through all the little things in here, but I know it's at least got the poster and the badges. I was hoping, I saw that when one of the other packages had the Benefit of Mr. Kite poster. And I was really hoping this would come with it, but I don't know if it did. I don't think it did, because I haven't been through all this, actually. I've just listened to it. What do I think? Obviously, you're all waiting to find out what I think about this. I like the mix. I think it was necessary in a way. I like what they did. Generally, a couple things. Apparently, Jeff Emmerich, I was just watching an interview where he didn't like where George Martin panned John Lennon's vocals on A Day in the Life, so they, interestingly on here, it is not panned. I always like that, actually, on the stereo release. Very disappointed that it's not on here. The clarity is striking on, going back to the original tapes, and I mean the original tapes, before mixed fold-downs. That's all great. On the flip side, to my old ears, it is immediately fatiguing in terms of a listen. They say no compression or limiting was applied in the mastering of the vinyl. I have no reason to doubt them, but I find it nearly impossible to believe that no compression was applied during the mixing. I don't know, but my ears tell me there's less dynamic range, and the punchiness that everyone describes on this record is a result of not boosting levels of basses and drums, but of further compressing them, which it's a more modern sound, but it's just simply fatiguing for me to listen to. I think when you're used to listening to like a lot of acoustic jazz or like well-produced 60s and 70s rock records or classical music, the level of compression of modern recordings is frankly unbearable. I just can't. I hate them. I hate this. Even when I like the music, I do not like the sound. So that's my only gripe, is that I would love to sit down and listen to this wonderful new mix, and all the little details that pop out, but I don't have a strong desire to, because of the fatiguing listen. So that's kind of my plus or minus. I think a younger person who's used to that kind of thing will have absolutely no problem with this, and I celebrate it. I'm not a purist. I don't care if they change everything around, because we still have the old records. I've got I showed in another video, got an original stereo UK first pressing, which sounds fantabulous, by the way, especially in comparison to my ears. The highs and the deep lows are definitely juiced on this, and it's for me it's a tough listen, but I celebrate what they did. I bought it. I will listen to it. I'll pull it out again and again, because you want to hear these things, but that's just my honest opinion. I have a problem. It's literally hard for me to listen to for an extended period of time, and I like to sit here for a half hour, and listen to a full record. That's just what I like to do. And when it's fatiguing and with a modern kind of punch to it and less dynamic range, I don't want to do it as much. So that's my only problem. So anyway, that'll wrap it up for this time. I got lots more jazz records to show you, believe it or not. Unbelievable haul. I think the jazz fans out there are probably salivating. I was salivating too. I am reveling in all this wonderful new music that I have to get to listen to. So envy me. All right, well, until next time, see you later.